What's going on, guys? Guildmaster Jake here with the St. Louis Guild Hall, and today we're going to be talking about something that everybody's kind of about. Am I right? We're talking
You
about
are right.
mercenaries, yeah. And with me, I've got one of my alliance members, Teacher Man, here, and we're gonna be kind of discussing our thoughts, potential things that both of us have been like. Okay, are we getting a new team? Are we getting reworks? Who we think we're going to bring up. Now, I want to state right off the bat, neither of us is bringing up any character until about the time of the Scourge, because I'm afraid we're going to get reworks or a new team. And what do you think about that, Teach?
I agree 1000%. Like most of us, it's um the highest minion I have is Ravager Stitcher, because at one point I was planning on bringing him to D5, and he's only level 70, so I'm not touching anybody else. And I agree. I agree with you.
I think my
It's
highest one is Mercenary Lieutenant, and I think he's only at like level 60.
yeah. Most
So,
most of mine are between. Let me phrase that. We have what 35
36 total minions.
36 total minions.
Or 37. It's 36,
Yeah,
37, yeah.
yeah, whichever. I only have, I have my roster here. I only have 8 of those
Or I'm sorry, it's
levels.
33. 33 minions.
Yeah, I
Just
only
counting.
have, yeah, I only have 9 of those at level 60,
Ugh,
and
yeah.
none above level 70. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, no, mine are extremely low as well. I think my highest full team is the Kree at like 50. So, but anyway,
yeah.
we're gonna go off of these in order. We're on MSF.gg looking at the teams. And just kind of wanted to give our thoughts because we were discussing it, and I've looked at each team, looked at what they can, and I'm looking at from a like Gear 13 standpoint with no T4 abilities. I'm not looking at their T4s because I'm not planning to waste T4s on a minion.
Same.
I can't. So I'm like, okay, where do we start? Let's start with AIM. This is when we were first starting. You were all over the AIM team, and looking at their damage, Infector and Monstrosity actually put up some of the higher numbers of damage for minions. But
They're still
looking,
trash.
yeah, I mean, and we were looking into it, and without the Scientist Supreme, they can't flip buffs much. I think the most that happened is Infector cloned its buffs onto the other team, but there was no cleanse for your side
Yeah,
when we were looking at it. Like, this
yeah.
is, let's drop these down to 6 and 4. So looking at Assaulter, so we've got attack primary target for 100 damage, 15 piercing, plus 25 or plus 50% chance for bleed. Okay, attack primary target for 140 bleed. Then hyperdose attack primary target for 200. If this character has a negative effect, bonus attack the primary target per negative effect on the target and gain speed up for 4 turns. So that's not bad, but not great either because this one doesn't really get debuffs on himself. And then on turn fill speed bar. So the speed bar gain was nice for the assaulter. Like I definitely give that some look because filling speed bar is definitely more so. Yeah, but other than that, I wish there was an easier way to do this. Hold on. Why did it go off my minion screen? Bad. Alright, there we go. So, and then the Infector was the one we were talking about that he can clone his buffs, but he
Yeah,
cannot just flip them. So, and he gives himself debuffs too during every one of his turns, right?
yeah. So, um, Infector will copy his debuffs and put them on the primary target.
Yeah, for
So
his special. So, and he
exactly.
gives himself a bunch of debuffs. He's got speed. He's got attack. And then if he's got a debuff at the start of his turn, he gains the opposite buff.
Correct.
So that's neat. But again, there's no way of clearing these buffs off of your own team. So one of the biggest thing that the team really does, that's the whole point of the team with Side to Supreme, throwing them all, flipping them all and do that, doesn't happen without her. So
Exactly.
it really hurts the team's overall viability. So like Monstrosity, we've got he heals himself. He attacks with offense up and applies offense up to aim. He hits with defense down, and he has piercing damage and a chance to inflict defense down. He's one of the ones, I think, when we were looking at the damage numbers, their Infector and Monstrosity hit like 14,000 damage at Gear 13, if I remember when we were looking at it. But
Yeah. No.
yeah, like I don't think that they're going to be viable, just for the simple fact is they just.
No. I I agree with that. The what we had talked about before is that there was somebody that transfers, but what I found out, like you said, it is aim security. His passive on attack. If Scientist Supreme is an ally, when above transfer one negative effect from self and each aim ally to the attacking enemy.
Yes, if Scientist Supreme is an ally.
Exactly. So that will not work. So
Right. So I think that's automatically a no go for me, just because there's not really super amount of sustainability on that, especially with you getting so many debuffs on your team. And so I think that's where we both agreed after looking farther into it. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the hand. The hand, I think, had a bit more viability when I was looking more into them the last couple days. We'll start off with Archer. Archer is actually pretty solid at stripping buffs, hitting AoEs, giving accuracy, or he gains accuracy and damage per hand ally. So right off the bat, you're gonna get. Let's see, he gains 5% damage and then plus 10% damage for each hand ally. So that's an extra 45% damage on his passive. That's not bad at all.
no.
His ult strips one buff off of everybody. His special does piercing, and then his primary does piercing. That's about it. Just like mostly the only things to talk about are his passive giving him damage and accuracy, and his ult stripping buffs, but it's only one buff and it's a cooldown of 4, so I don't think they have energy generation in this team. I think there's only one team that actually does it, and we'll get to that. So let's go ahead and switch to Assassin. Assassin hits hard. I can't deny. Like I've like it. The Shuriken 410 damage plus heal block for 2 turns. That's pretty solid. And then its passive gives 20% damage.
Yeah.
So
If they just update the stats on here to make them in line with other stat bonus, then maybe, I don't know.
yeah,
We'll get into this more later, but I agree with you. It's probably going to be a hodgepodge, but
yeah.
we'll talk,
So
talk about that more
right.
later.
So Blade Master's the next one, who again passive gain 20% damage. His assailing blade 370% damage, 75% chance to bonus attack for 320 damage.
Yeah.
And then primary or his secondary does 300% damage. Primary does 216 plus piercing. So again, they all have the bonus damage and things like that. So they're a decent at throwing out the damage. They just don't have a whole lot of sustainability. Then you've got Sentry, who gains block and damage for his passive. He stealths them all and he gains evade. And then his Psy Strike's 300 damage primary does 184 plus 15% piercing. Again, not really a whole lot of sustainability, even with the sorceress, the healer. On turn, 20% chance to gain stealth for 2 turns to protect itself. Cool. Blood magic, 3,600% health plus 15% of this character's max health. Apply
Yeah.
defense up to the 4 most injured allies. So, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a great healer by any means necessary. Its special has drain, and its basic has piercing and drain. So like,
Yeah. Uh,
yeah, the not the greatest healer in the game.
no, no, not the greatest healer that's even among the minions.
Correct. All right, so you if like they're looking fine on damage, just from the ability standpoint. We're not looking at stats. But like ability wise, they'll put out some damage, but overall sustain, it isn't there. I don't think that's a team I'd take either. Let's go ahead and move over to Hydra, which
Which is probably the worst of the minions, which is saying a
yeah,
lot.
without Red Skull, they're just kind of meh. We'll start off with the armed guard. He gains armor,
Woohoo!
and then Hydra minions and Red Skull gain armor. On turn, he heals for 10%. Okay, so he's got a little sustain. He taunts. He clears negative effects and heals himself 5% per negative effect removed, plus a base healing and a 10% max health. So that's solid. Alert, his taunt is a solid ability. I can't deny it for the minions anyway, because he clears all negative effects and heals 5% for each one. Then he heals self for 1,400 and 10%. So it's a decent little heal ability for a taunter.
Yeah, needs.
Right.
I'll put it like this: it has potential.
Yeah.
So it's.
So his rapid fire, he applies assist now to Hydra Rifle Trooper ally, and then he hits with damage and piercing. Then his primary attack hits for damage and piercing. So his taunt ability isn't that horrible, especially for a minion. Can't deny it.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, especially with a cooldown of 3. So
yep.
that's.
Yep. All right, so let's go over to Grenader. You're not going to have Baron Zemo, so that doesn't do anything. 30% focus. Hydra allies gain 30% focus. Okay. Attack primary target and adjacent targets for 220% damage. Clear 1 positive effect from each target, and then it repeats the attack, so it'll strip 2 buffs off of the 3 that it's going to hit. Mm-hmm. Not bad. Cooldown of 4. Flak grenade. Hits for 220 piercing and applies slow. Slow's always decent. And his basic attack does piercing and applies slow. So his basic's not horrible.
No.
But again, this team was like a lot of these teams, like until you start looking at them on paper, they're like, I mean, you might be right. If they even just get some stat buffs, it might make it better. Then we go to Rifle Trooper. 10% damage. Hydra minions and Red Skull gain 10% damage. 10% max health. Assist Hydra allies on non-attack abilities. On revive, we don't get that. Hail of bullets, attack all for 180. Cool. Special damage piercing, basic damage piercing. Nothing special about the Rifle Trooper. Moving on. Alright, so let's look at the Scientist. Let's see. 10% max health. And to all Hydra minions as well. Cool. On turn, apply regeneration, 1 to 2 random positive effects to the 2 most injured Hydra allies. That's not bad.
No.
So, regeneration and 1 to 2 positive effects on 2 most injured. So, 4 to 6 buffs per turn. Cool. Debuff and deflect to most injured ally, and heal for 7k plus 15% max health. Decent little heal, especially with a 2 energy cost. I can't.
Mhm.
That one's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Special 260 damage, 20% piercing, 50% chance to apply heal block for 1 turn. Not bad. And basic does damage, piercing, and a 50% chance to apply heal block. Okay, that's
Mhm.
decently solid little kit for a minion.
Yeah.
Then finally we have Sniper, who 10% speed for him and allies. Cool. Speed is key for these games.
Yeah. Which, uh, any speed, any speed increase, even if it's only for Hydra minions, can help. So.
Yes, yes. Then we have his alt, gain 2 F on top, maximum 3 for self, and 3 random Hydra allies. 100% chance to gain speed up for 2 turns, fill the speed bar by 50%. So
Yeah.
zero in's a solid ability. I can't knock it anywhere.
Hmm.
Then he hits 250 piercing on his special, and his primary is just piercing as well. So those are solid. Can't fault the
Yep.
Sniper. Not a bad overall little team, but still not the ones that I would go with if I'm looking to go
Yeah.
through this if they don't do any buffs. Moving on to one of the teams that I think are going to be one of the teams if there's no changes made is the Kree, honestly. Because I've been looking at them. They've got taunting, they've got healing, they've got ability generation. It's not great, but it's ability generation and things like that. So we'll start off with Cyborg. On enemy taunt, 75% chance to gain offense up for 2 turns and apply offense up to a Kree ally for 2 turns. Gain 5% speed per Kree ally. So already getting 20% speed just from his passive.
Yeah.
And on turn, copy all positive effects from a random Ultimus, which this will not happen because you don't have Ultimus.
Nope.
Auto targeting, attack primary target for 310 plus 80% chance of bonus attack for 260. That thing, solid.
Yeah.
Energy Blaster, on kill, or it attacks primary target for 270. On kill, chain to one adjacent target, and grant 1 ability energy to 1 or 2 random allies. That's what I meant by iffy energy generation, because it's always like random allies.
Exactly.
But most of their stuff is also very small cooldowns, so it should go pretty well. And then his primary does damage and piercing.
Yeah. Which I know a lot of people are going to have, because Kree minions, the worst legendary unlock, are needed for Nick Fury.
Yep.
Which
you need for other legends. So, yeah, you have him 7-starred.
Yeah, at some point, and it's as someone who... Yeah, Nick Fury is...
You were against this team when we were talking about them so hard. You were so against them.
Yeah, it's decent just because, like, I hate that they require Kree minions for... And, by the way, Kree minions have been reworked. Kree has been reworked 3 times, and they're still garbage.
Yep.
So, I'm just putting it out there.
So moving on to global, or not noble, I said global. Loyalist is the passive. On turn, clear 1 negative effect from 1 random ally with a negative effect. If ally is Kree, remove an additional negative effect. So you're going to clear 2 every time at the start of the turn. That's not horrible. It's not great, but it's not horrible.
No.
Imperial Decree, apply assist now to an adjacent ally. If it's Kree, also give it offense up and attack the primary target for 465% damage. That's a pretty solid ability for this team. Special hits for 270%, 75% chance to clear a positive effect from the target and generate 1 ability energy for 1 to 2 allies. There's that very vague ability generation once again.
Yeah,
and then the primary does damage, piercing, and a 75% chance to clear a random positive effect. So that's the noble. Moving on to Oracle. Whenever this character or an ally gains energy, heal them. So when those random energy hit, they get 1400 health plus 5% of this character's max. If the target is Kree or Ronin, heal them for 2,800 and 10% of this character's max health. So that's a random energy. That's a random heal for that energy generation that we were talking about. But go ahead.
Yes. So that could actually
That could add up.
yeah, and it could be good. It needs a little love because what popped into my head, it's we both have Bionic Avengers built. That's what Vivision does. Obviously, not
Much
comparing,
better version.
Granted, that's where I was going. Viv is a lot better, but she provides this sustain, and with the amount of ability energy that's getting tossed out during this,
Well, because if we look up here to the special, this is the third character that has ability generation.
exactly.
Yeah, so back on track, the alt, apply regeneration to all, apply an additional regeneration to Ronin and Kree minions. So they'll all get 2 regenerations with the alt, and then that special is going to have an 80% chance to apply to generate 1 ability energy. So that's where that'll trigger that Zeal once again, and then it basic does damage plus piercing. So moving on to Reaper. Reaper definitely hits hard, heal blocks with that alt, which is a cooldown of 3. It's passive on crit heal self for 15% max health and generate 1 ability energy for 1 or 2 Kree allies. So it gains crit chance and it gains 30% crit chance with its passive too. So we're back to on crits anytime at all. This character will. That's the 4th character that does ability energy. It's like, oh hey.
Yeah.
Then its special does 270% and 70% chance to apply bleed, primary damage, piercing, 70% chance to apply bleed. So there's that ability energy. Why I put them at honestly one of the top spots for my minion teams if we don't get reworks or a new team. Then finally we have the Royal Guard. While in taunt, when attacked, 50% chance to apply 1 ability energy. Weird. Gains 15% armor and 5% per Kree, so that's 35% armor.
Gee, I'm detecting an ability energy pattern.
Right. And hey, look, here's his ult. It costs 5, but gain taunt, defense up, and apply defense up to all Kree. Heal self for 1,300 and 10% max. And we ignore this because there is no Ronin. He doesn't exist. Ignore all those characters that are named. These are minions, people. We don't get named characters here.
Yeah. So.
And then his special damage and a 50% chance to gain counter. So for once you do that, if he gets the counter, going into taunting with counter is always great. Basic damage and piercing. So that does it for Kree. Like I said, I think they're at one of my top spots. We're going to circle back around to this next section, and we're going to go over to S.H.I.E.L.D. And honestly, when I was looking at this the other night, they're not a bad other team. I can't. I was re-going through the kits, and I was like, they might be worth being a secondary team if I decide not to go with the other secondary team that we were talking about, which I'm sure everybody's already kind of figured out with what we skipped and what we're going to do with the secondary team, but we'll circle back. So let's go with the Assaulter first. 40% extra crit chance. Shield minions, 40% extra crit chance. So right off the bat, giving crits. His barrage attacks all, and 50% chance to remove a positive effect from all targets. So buff stripping. His special is damage, piercing, and hits the adjacents with it. And his basic is damage and piercing. So he wasn't one of the ones I was impressed with, but he gives a lot of crit chance. So.
Yep.
It's really the rest of the team that I was like, I forgot about all this stuff. So we're moving on to the medic, which is probably the best healer in the minions. So
which, granted, is not saying much.
yeah. I mean, this character was used for the longest time as the healer before in the game before Minerva came out. Let's be
Hmm.
honest.
I used her.
I
So
did too.
so
But
full transparency. It's I started playing MSF like literally right after global launch. What was that? 2017.
something like that. Yeah, I played day one of launch.
Yep. Sa- Same, and took a year and a half off. Came back, I guess, right before the pandemic hit. But I used Shield Medic. I
Yep,
did.
we all did. We all did because that was the only healer we had before Minerva. Minerva's not even used now. And when that thing came out, it was like, "Do you have Minerva? No, get out of here."
Yep,
It was
exactly.
bad.
So
But all right, back on track. The special on turn, 30% chance to heal the most injured ally for 20% of this character's max health, and apply regeneration for 2 turns.
hmm
If allies Nick Fury or Shield, we're ignoring that Nick Fury part, apply an additional regeneration. So 20% of this character's max health to regeneration, and that's just on turn. It has a chance to do this.
hmm
Now, we're going to go with emergency treatment 5. They have big cooldowns for Shield Team, is their big problem. We're
yes.
going to ignore this first half of the first line because there's no Coulson. 20% chance to revive a dead ally with 10% health. Then you heal all allies for 110 health, or I'm sorry, 100, 1,100 health, and 15% of this character's max health. If the allies are shield, then heal for an additional 20%. So 35% of this character's health is what it's going to heal the team for.
Yeah. Yeah, but a cooldown of 5 is just.
Yep, with no no energy gain.
Yep.
Special damage, offense down, reduce speed bar. Reducing speed bar is great.
hmm
And then basic damage, really low damage. Piercing, 100% chance to apply offense down for 1 to 2 turns, and on crit, clear speed bar by 25%. So remember, we had that other shield assaulter that gave the, what was it, 40% crit chance?
Yep.
So a little bit of synergy there. Then we're going to go to Operative. Operative is a secondary healer for this team, so they have 2 healers. It's not really main heal, but it gives a lot of regeneration, and the extraction is only a cooldown of 2. But we'll circle back to that. So passive focus for itself, shield.
Yeah.
So
Encounter.
then, yeah. Yeah, on war defense,
Yeah, exactly.
Coulson gates.
Yeah.
On spawn counter to Nick Fury if ally. On turn apply counter to Nick Fury or to shield minion. There's the important part.
Yep.
Or to shield minion allies. As we were talking about extraction, apply stealth to most injured for 2 turns, heal for 980, 10% of this character's max health, apply 3 regeneration. Cooldown at 2.
That's not bad.
Yeah, and then if it's a shield minion, apply an additional regeneration. So it gets 4 regeneration plus healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, kind of a secondary healer, but it also applies stealth. So it makes that character
Yeah.
under stealth. So, yeah. Then special damage on crit, reduce speed bar, clear a positive effect.
Yeah.
And then primary damage, piercing on crit, speed bar, transfer 1 buff to nobody that exists.
hmm Exactly.
I know it's a running joke. I'm sorry. I can't help it. It's annoying.
Well, let's be honest. That's not the only thing that's annoying about this
Right. So,
conversation.
right. Shield security. 15% block chance, 10% block amount. For
Ugh.
each ally that is shield minion, 10% block chance. So that gives 40, or what is it? A 55 block chance.
Yeah.
That's not bad. When an ally drops below 50%, gain taunt. If it's a shield minion, also gain defense up.
Yep. It's we've all had to deal with those annoying shield that taunt, particularly in raids or in dark dimensions, and it's irritating.
Yeah, it is.
We've all been there.
Crowd control. It's a cooldown of 4, but it hits hard. 320, bonus stack 300. If it's slowed, apply stun.
Yeah.
And then it's special, hit, apply slow, primary, hit, apply slow. So.
Yep. Exactly.
And finally, we have the Trooper, which is probably the more important part of this team at that point, because when an enemy attacks an adjacent ally, attack the primary target on crit, reduce speed bar. So, while they're trying to deal with you, hit you in between turns. And we all know how much, like, Gambit and things like that. I've been annoyed by this character before. So, that's always a good ability. Alt is attack piercing. Special is attack on crit, reduce speed bar. I noticed a theme there. On crit, reduce speed bar. Primary attack piercing on crit, reduce speed bar. So that's them. Finally, let's get into the last team we have to talk about. And I'm going to skip one of the characters, which is Mercenary Sniper. Two. Mercenary Sniper and Mercenary Soldier, because I don't think they're going to even be worth mentioning, because most people don't. Like, a lot of people still have Riot Guard and Lieutenant built up from war defense before the main guy moved on to a newer team.
Yeah.
And Shuri also got moved as well. So
yeah, and I think Merc Soldier, isn't he on Skilletary?
I believe so.
Oh.
So, the last team we're going to talk about is a hybrid team of mercenaries and Ravagers, which this is the main team we've been talking about using because, again, most people have at least, like, Stitcher built up. I don't, because I never bothered. But I have Lieutenant built up, and this is the thing. Like, the main thing about Lieutenant is call the shots, the apply offense up and speed, is random allies herself. It is not mercenaries.
No. So, granted.
Yeah. So let's just break down the kits real quick, because we've been rambling for a little bit, because we still have to talk about our thoughts on potential new teams. On turn, 30% chance to heal most injured ally, 20% of this character's max health. If it's a mercenary, heal again for 10%. So, again, he has a little bit of healing, and that's just on his turn with the speed up, so they're going to be taking more turns to just heal a random ally. Cool. If it's a mercenary, so we have 2 mercenaries, so itself or I don't think it heals itself, but the Riot Guard can get healed for 30% instead. When a non-summon mercenary ally drops before 50%, fill this character's speed bar by 25%. So your Riot Guard that's going to be taunting goes to 50% or below. It'll trigger this. It'll fill this character's speed bar by 25%. Chance to get the call the shots again to go offense up to speed up the rest of the team.
Yep.
So call the shots, I think, is the most important ability on this character. Offense up for 4 random allies or self. Speed up for random allies or self. Special 240 damage, 1 ability energy to a random ally. So hey, there's some ability energy. Grant 1 ability energy to 3 random mercenary villain allies. So it'll hit 1 random on the team, and then your Riot Guard will always get 1. And then damage piercing. So that's the Lieutenant. Moving on to the Riot Guard. 20% block chance, 25% block amount. That's its passive, not that great.
No.
2 turn cooldown on a taunt. Taunt for 1 turn. Defense up. Self for 2 turns, apply defense up to 4 most injured allies for 1 turn. So, again, it'll apply to the Ravagers too.
Yeah.
Combat pistol, just damage. And then basic does damage and piercing. So, again, I like that they don't just do mercenary like almost every other team. So, I think that's why teaming them up with the only 3 Ravagers works. So, moving on to Boomer. 15% chance to assist Ravager allies, 5% chance to assist non-Ravager allies. So he has a chance to assist the mercenaries too.
Exactly.
And on spawn gives offense up for 2 turns to self and all Ravagers. So your Ravagers will start with offense up. His alt, 230 damage to primary, 220 damage to adjacent, reduce speed bars, and fills his own speed bar.
Yep.
So, solid right there. Plasma Blast, damage piercing, or damage chance to apply slow, gain speed up, so he'll go again. And then basic damage piercing, chance to apply slow, and gain speed up. So he wants to keep going, they want to keep going, things like that.
Exactly.
Moving on to Bruiser, a second taunter, which might hurt your damage numbers, but it'll help with sustainability. So 25% block chance on spawn, apply defense up to self and all Ravagers, so another big bump on spawn to Ravagers. Avast! Avast! Apply defense up for self and 2 random Ravager allies for 2 turns. Heal self for 2,000 plus 10%. Copy 3 positive effects except stealth from primary target. That's probably going to be solid. Flip 3 positive effects on the primary target. So yeah, that's solid ability. Cutlass is damage. If the primary target is a protector, apply defense down. If the primary, yeah. Where does it say disrupted?
Yeah. If primary target has taunt, clear taunt.
Clear taunt, gain 2 deflect up to maximum 5. Gain taunt, so he taunts, so there's your second taunter, damage plus piercing.
Yeah.
And finally, the healer himself, Ravager Stitcher, which a lot of people do have him leveled up because of the other Scourge, and same with the other 2 Ravagers. I do not. Go away, I don't need ads. The treatment, gain 20% max health. On spawn, apply regeneration to self and all Ravagers. So there's that third on spawn apply ability to Ravagers. Steal 10% from primary, redistributed to most injured allies. Heal the most injured ally. So, and apply immunity. Does not specify Ravagers, which is, again, then...
Help.
Yep. Then steal 10% health and redistribute. Heal the most. Again, not Ravager exclusive, so it'll protect your lieutenant as well, and it's only a cooldown of 3. So love that.
It's not bad.
Yeah. So clear death proof from primary, damage piercing, or damage and chance to apply heal block. If target has defense down, instead attack it for piercing, plus 70% chance to much higher numbers. So that's nice. Characters killed by this attack cannot be revived. I don't know if it'll be relevant, but it's there.
It's there.
Yeah, and then primary clear death proof, damage, chance to inflict heal block. If they have defense down, instead higher damage, 70% chance to apply heal block. Characters killed by this attack cannot be revived. So I don't know if that will be relevant, but it's there.
It'll help.
So I think me and you both that are in agreement now, Kree and Mercenary Ravagers are what we're recommending, if there's no reworks or new teams.
Yeah, that's gonna be all right. If we wanted to get into that now, it's scope.
We won't talk about reworks because there's no way of predicting anything, but we can.
No.
We will talk about teams that people have been talking that we might get, and I think there's one slept on that nobody has brought up, and I'll talk about that right before the videos end.
Okay.
I watched Boylon's video, and he brought up Sentinels, which I would love that. And Kree, which, we have Secret Wars coming out next year, which...
Yep.
But I think I don't think we're going to get Kree right now because we have Secret Wars coming out next year. So.
Exactly.
But those could both be Minion teams, especially Sentinels, because they are minions, like big honking minions, but minions.
Exactly.
Is there any Minion teams that you could think that could possibly come to the game before I talk about
the only ones that I could think, but I think they would were some scrolls and stuff like that. But other than that,
I meant scrolls.
So
because Secret Invasion, my brain just shut down.
Oh no, it's okay because Sentinels because
I
the
mean, it's been an entire year of mutants.
it has.
Sentinels would make sense, and that would be a really cool thing to bring to the game.
It would, and because aren't they doing uh um the new X-Men TV shows coming? I don't know. It's I did.
The continuation of the '90s cartoon, yeah, I think that's supposed to come out next year. So,
Yeah.
but again, that might be something I wait on. I don't know, but like it's been a year of mutants leading up to Apocalypse. When they beat Apocalypse in the original show's timeline, then it was, oh hey, Master Mold and the Sentinels took over. You know, it was one thing after another. But I am going to change this to an audible real quick,
Oh, absolutely.
and I want to point out something that's gonna let's just say that a lot of people probably aren't going to be happy with. But I want to pull your attention to a specific character named Ultron.
Yeah, I was just thinking the Ultron minions.
Yep. And there's already 3 kits and models in the game for the minions.
Yes.
Because I mean, if you look at most of the big summoners, they summon already existing characters.
Hmm.
No, all of them do actually. Like I can't think of one besides Ultron that summons a unique character. Not off the top of
Uh,
my head, because
um,
like
no, no,
Nick Fury
all the
doesn't.
Kingpin.
He summons the
Uh,
the the guards.
yeah,
Yeah, like they all summon existing characters. The only one who doesn't
it's Ultron.
is Ultron, and I can't pull it up in this. Hold on, I'm gonna open up BlueStacks real quick. Sorry guys, you can see my background. But yeah, there is 2 characters he summons that we have never gotten in game, and on top of that, I think is there 1 or 2 other Ultron minions in other game modes. I know there's at
No,
least 1. I don't know if it's
no,
2 or not.
no. I'm pretty sure there's 3 Ultron minions. You have Fabricator, then you have
But yeah, you have the 2 that he summons, but there's a third one in some of the other game modes that just
yes,
randomly spawn. So they have the characters built technically, and it would suck to get those characters because Ultron's been in the game for so long. But he's also a character that is not seeing any use anymore for the most part. Like,
nope.
and giving him a full team of minions would help, or they could do some of his stronger minions that he made, because he made the androids that were copies of the Avengers, things like that. He's done a lot of things, and he has a lot of minions.
He
So
does.
it is definitely one that I haven't seen talked about, which is the Ultron Legion. And they've already got the models, so they wouldn't have to put a whole lot of extra work in bringing them into the game. Besides the 2 they haven't designed. Go away ads. But yeah, I mean they're already in the game. There's 3 of them.
Yeah, Incinerator, Accelerator, and Fabricator.
Yep.
That's
So
yeah.
because we've got Incinerator right here, I'm pulling them up on the screen, which they have full kits,
Yep.
and you've got Accelerator and Fabricator.
Hmm.
So all
So
3,
yeah,
and there
I
is a
don't.
4th one in the game too. The 4th one is one that has a blue aura, but it's not one that he summons. It's one that drops in some of the other game modes. So they already
Yep,
technically have 4 minions right there. And if you look in the summons, they are called minions.
they are. Yep.
So right off the bat, they already have 4 models ready to go with that. And they
Yeah.
all have decent kits. I
Yeah.
Yeah, like they do the speed up to sell 4 allies, like, and the funny thing is, their kits specifically separate what they do, and then Ultron for 2 turns. So like they're already technically designed to be standalone characters if you look at the kits.
Yeah. So It'll help.
It,
It'll definitely help. So,
but like I said, I think that's something a lot of people haven't thought about. They have 4 Ultron units already designed, already in game, models, abilities, everything already in there. Now, it would suck because, again, they've been summons for so long that. But if they were to drop them as as just extra characters they gave us, because again, they're older characters, just something to drop as extra small things. Like, don't even give them a big release like new characters, at least for these 3. The other 2 they could, because, the other 2 we've never even got to play with. Well, the one that's in game, but you know what I mean? They could easily do that as these for 3 extra characters that they just give a easy blitz milestone, and you get all 3 at least a 3-star unlock. But their kits are good enough with healing, buffs, and turn meter that they could work.
could be. I think we're more likely to get some modifications or some adjustments.
I definitely agree with that, but it's definitely something that I don't think a lot of people have thought about or talked on, is the fact that the Ultron units are built in the system itself. So
Exactly.
that's my take on a possible team that they could do with minimal effort on their part, because like I've talked about in the past this year, I think
Yeah.
they're just too split with everything they've been doing. They've got so much going that they just do not have the staff to keep up with it, and that's why we've had so many bugs. That's why we've had so many setbacks. I think there's been too much in these month-long events, because I'm pretty sure that these last 2 months the events have been a lot less per week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It definitely feels like we've been getting less and less events in these month-long events, and I think that's because they realized we're trying to do too much, and it's causing the game more problems than we're making money on. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for this video, because we've been talking for about 50 minutes about this.
Yeah, no, it's just for the record, it is, if you want to bring up some, that's fine. Like my Ravagers, aside from Stitchers 70, my Ravagers are level 60. I have a smattering. Like most of my aim minions are in the 60s, just because I used them back in the day to get through Villain 7-1, which you had to, was a struggle for many longtime players will understand about Chapter 7 of
Yeah.
Villain's struggle through there.
Yep.
But should not bring, don't waste any resources on
Yeah.
any minions until we get some more details. But again, I can't see them, because here's the problem.
Yeah, normally when we get something like this, every time we've gotten it, but it's not one of the main requirements, which has a lot of people concerned. It's not the Node 5 or Node 10. That's why a lot of people are concerned about it. And I can see, because I don't want to bring up minions. I really don't want to bring up minions. But with all the resources we have right now, I'm caught up on all the characters. I did spend a bunch of cores, and I have Dark Beast sitting here waiting to be unlocked, but I don't have the focus gear, the focus stuff to bring him up, so I haven't unlocked him yet.
So I don't perceive one thing that pretty much probably I'm sure everybody can.
All of them.
Yeah. That Scopely wants money and stuff like this.
All games need money to keep going.
Yes, but Scopely does things to basically to frustrate people, to the frustration marketing, to make money. If they're not going to do something and it's legitimately going to prevent people from getting Archangel, particularly people who would invest money and stuff like this, then they're going to do something about it. Probably sell us a solution to this. Most likely, let's be honest, they're probably going to sell us a solution to the minions.
Yep. I mean, don't get me wrong. Almost all of us who've been playing forever, looking at minions, most of mine are all 7-star. I just haven't upgraded them.
Yeah,
And they
with
did say that there were the scourges that affected minions affected
yeah,
both sides, not just the opposing. Like most of mine are 6 to 7 star. I think hand archer's my only one that, or hand archer and aim researcher are the only ones that aren't level 6 star or higher. But
yeah, which um
whatever. Yeah, I was
yeah,
right. Mercenary. Oh no, mercenary lieutenant's at level 68. And
yeah, no,
I'm sorry, my shield operative is level 70. I forgot I used her a long time ago for something. And my hand assassin. Oh, a couple of them are like 70. Wow, I didn't even realize that. But yeah.
it's yeah, looking at my roster, I only have about half of them at 7 star just because I didn't. Actually, no, because a lot of them I just haven't ranked up. So
You
scratch
know,
that.
it's your TCP, man. You got to rank them up for your TCP.
Yeah, yeah,
There's an ongoing joke with our alliance that we're catching up to each other. It's surpassing. It's really, we have a lot of fun with it. So sorry, I had to throw that in there.
thanks, buddy. It's no,
As you can see,
yeah,
alliance war is going on right now.
yeah, exactly. So no, it's I'm not touching
As
any of
as
my
you can see, my Stitcher is still level 1 in this video.
yeah,
I haven't even upgraded him at all yet.
which I can tell you that like of the 30, like half of them are like no, let's see, 8 of them are rank 1, level 1. So
I mean,
it's
apparently, like most of mine are all minimum level 50. I think there's only 4 that aren't actually, now that I'm looking at my roster. Like,
yeah,
not even joking, Ravager Boomer, Ravager Bruiser, Aim Researcher, and Ravager Stitcher are the only ones under level 50 in my roster. I just realized this.
yeah. So it's I can tell you, yeah. So 7 hand assassin, blade master, Hydra rifle trooper, sniper, aim infector, monstrosity, aim merc sniper, all level 1 G1.
Yep.
And of those, I have 8 more that are under level 50. So it's probably what's going to wind up happening, unless we are getting some reworks or some additionals, is that I'm going to probably just try to take as many to level 60 G12 and just
And just try
restart
to
it.
literally throw wave after wave of minions like they're meat shields.
Basically, it's. But to your point, save the 2 mercs with the Ravagers and then Kree for last. But I don't know what else. But they're gonna.
Waves of meat shields.
Yeah. So
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, most of the minions are villains, so you know what? It's kind of accurate.
Yeah. They're
And the other half are what, shield operatives. So yeah, that's 100% accurate to what happens in the comics, and the shows, and the movies. Meat shields.
Exactly. Oh, I need. Thank you. I needed that laugh, particularly after this depressing. We spent almost an hour talking about minions.
I know.
So,
But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today. We'll catch you next time at the Guildhall. Don't forget to give us a like and a follow and comment what your thoughts are on the minions and what we're going to get. If it's going to be a new team, a rework, if we're not getting anything, and what teams you're going to bring. And we'll see you next time. Say bye.
bye.